Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Coffee with Carl. I'm your host, Carl Zoellner, one of the attorneys here with Anderson Business Advisors. Today, I want to take a chance to discuss sort of a new tool we're using called the Personal Residence Privacy Trust. The scenario goes something like this. We've set up an asset protection structure. The client is protected within their business investments, but maybe they have a high value or a completely paid off personal residence they don't want people to see they own. Now, I use this in almost every single location I can, meaning I'm not differentiating between homestead exemption states, whether it's full 100% or unlimited homestead exemption like in Texas or Florida, or if it's a low homestead exemption state like California, which is $75,000 right now. I like to have those available for any type of personal residence, because if we're really looking at focusing on, say, anonymity, this is sort of the last piece of that anonymity puzzle, in that you don't have to look attractive to your potential creditors. So normally in a case where you see this is somebody who says has rental properties, they find out who eventually the owner is, and then they start looking around at the assets you own. This has actually happened to a client who had an expensive personal residence in California and then had a rental property in Colorado. And ultimately, the ability to see how much their personal residence was worth actually stalled the negotiation process, saying if the plaintiff was actually going to, say, take insurance limits or a small settlement, and actually fueled the fire of the litigation and ended up costing the person substantially more, just because the plaintiff's attorney could see that that person's personal residence was worth quite a bit of money, and they knew, and that led them to the assumption that they had quite a bit of money and that they should go for more than policy limits. So the Personal Residence Privacy Trust is a cool tool we can use. I sort of look at it as the final step of making your asset protection structure anonymous, meaning now I've taken everything else anybody can see that I own, and now I'm even adding in my personal residence, so now that they can't see what I own. I'm still generally not putting that personal residence into a business entity like an LLC, because I think it's kind of a stretch to say a personal asset like that would make sense as a business asset, or that it should have separation in a business entity. But this does let us strip our personal names from title on, say, a personal residence we own. The way we accomplish this is, and there's several videos on sort of all these pieces, but normally what we'll do is we will put your personal residence into a land trust. So now we've taken your individual name and we've deeded it over to a land trust. The property, that was in your individual name. And then on that land trust, we will use a nominee trustee, meaning a trustee that is not you as an individual. Normally, this will now be a Wyoming LLC that is set up for the sole purpose of being that trustee. So now when, say, if you looked at my personal residence, it would show up as, Carl Zoellner, a single person, as owner of, XYZ property. It would now show up as 123 Main Street LLC as trustee of 123 Main Street Trust. So by taking my name off of it, it makes it far less searchable from prying eyes, specifically predatory plaintiff attorneys or predatory plaintiffs. And now the rest of your anonymity and your structure is completed, because now they cannot only not see any of your investments, but now they can't see your personal residence, which I think is of incredible value if we're going the full anonymity route. So that is generally what the Personal Residence Privacy Trust is. By the way, for those of you in those unlimited homestead states, the Personal Residence Privacy Trust does not violate those homestead exemptions. So there usually is a couple questions on that. If I put it in this trust, will it mess with my homestead exemptions? No, it will not. It's just another way to take your name off title. And with a personal residence, we want the ultimate ownership, or say the beneficial interest of this land trust, to be held by your living trust. And the problem where you run into with the living trust is normally it's, say if it was my living trust, it'd be the Zellner family trust. So therefore, not a whole lot of anonymity. So by adding this land trust into the mix with nominee trustee, you get that level of privacy protection, and you can still have it your property incorporated into your living trust just as you had before. So that's it for me on this video. As always, take advantage of all of our free education opportunities, and we always encourage you to come out to one of our 3-day classes. If you've already been to tax and asset protection, we also offer more levels of classes as well as you become more advanced in your knowledge and some different strategies there as well. So until next time, this is Carl Zoellner, one of the attorneys with Anderson Advisors, signing off, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Thanks.